I had a question about of course, again, the elitism and connoisseur consumers and the aspirational consumers buying global brands or local brands. I mean, is the aspirational consumer now being more educated to appreciate local craftsmanship and value of the products, the local brands, or how do you feel about that? Sorry? Oh, you can't hear? I'm sorry. I was asking. Yeah?
Yeah, yeah. May I?
Yeah.
India has been one of those places where the local market has always been appreciated because we're one of the cities where, especially for apparel, ethnic wear is as strong as Western wear, particularly for women. So it's not that we don't appreciate the craftsmanship, we've always appreciated it. Besides which, even in the Western arena or in the arenas which is not traditionally ethnic, you find there are some very great homegrown brands like Da Milano, for example. An excellent brand doing, creating beautiful products which are world-class today.
Yeah.
Or in the ethnic sector, there have been brands like Fab India, Good Earth,
Yep.
Nicobar. These are brands which have local craftsmanship, sustainability. All these come at the forefront, and people appreciate that, and they pay the premium for it. Today, a Good Earth, if you're going and buying a product, if you're buying an apparel,
Absolutely.
it is, I mean, you will find the product is very, it's excellent world-class quality, it's sustainable, so you don't mind paying the premium for it, and you find that that's why the brand is a success factor. So you find that happening not just in the ethnic wear, but also in the Indo-Western, the Western wear, the range, etc. I'm now giving an opportunity to another Indian brand in Chanakya, which is called Perona. They work with leather products. They've currently only been exporting and working with brands like Xenia, etc. Now he wants to retail his range in the country. If you see a brand like Janvi, they've been creating stuff for international brands which have been carrying their stuff under their labels. They have their own brand now within the country where they are showcasing the products. So we create world-class products, we do, and people genuinely appreciate it and are willing to pay a premium for it.
Yeah. Thank you.
But apart from, having said this, I think the only category of luxury products that India has taken abroad is, I think, only the designer wears. All of the categories are yet to move out of India as a luxury, barring one or two. But mainly designers have really moved out of India also as luxury.
No, I beg to differ. Hospitality is the biggest export from India.
Yep.
Right? Oberois and the Tajes have been, Taj is the proud owner of Jaguar today. So I don't agree that besides Indian designers, I think Indian designers are least exported. They're least exported. Indian designers are least exported because they have a very little sense of branding. They make wonderful products, but branding aspect is really very poor. But if you look at the new generation of designers, I mean, you could look at a Napa Dori, you could look at a Shivan and Naresh. They are world-class products, world-class branding. So they are getting there much, much faster.
Yep.
So it's a matter of time when Make in India will make us proud.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of beautiful products here, but the branding and the marketing still needs some work. I think we have one of our alumni, Rahul Mishra, who is doing quite well in Paris now because he understands the market there and how to take it globally. So, Manish Arora, absolutely. So,
Seriously, he sits next to some of the best luxury brands.
yeah, he's on Bond Street, so that's crazy.
I think just to also add, I think what's also changing, and while you're building brands for the future, the concept of that luxury as a status symbol, I think is diluting its worth. And even more when you look at, the so-called millennials, and we talk so much about millennials, and the fact is that in 2 years' time, 1/3 of the country will be millennials. So we better look at that segment because it's not a small segment. That's what will drive the business. And for them, if luxury is evolving and it's not a status symbol, then what is it? Everybody should have a clear answer because I think it's more internal. It's more about expression of what it means to me, and all the brands that Dilnaz just mentioned. I mean, all people relate to them. I mean, there's something about trust. There's something about creating it together that's coming alive. So I think it's really important that what is your story? It not necessarily have to have a 200-year-old history or a global name, but can you mean something to the consumer? Will get more and more mainstream.
So that actually brings me to the next question. What does the Indian consumer look for in terms of luxury? Are they looking for experiences, or are they looking for uniqueness, customization?
I think it's the value proposition. So Indians are extremely value conscious, and value does not always mean discount. So we are perceived as discount seekers, but I think we are value seekers, and we want to relate value to money. So why should I pay you this is the question which an Indian consumer is always asking. So besides a certain bit of a premium, he wants to pay for the brand aspect. Other things that he seeks for is functionality value, branding value, customer service value, and of course the status value that it might ask. But as Sachin said, it is changing with the millennial. That's where the new consumer behavior needs to be studied and sort of carried forward to luxury.
Yeah. Well, I think for the elite consumers, it's no longer a question of status, not using brands as a badge anymore, but for the aspirational consumer, it still is. I mean, we can see a lot of Valentino studs, and when we go, around the Saint Regis Hotel, etc., at nights, what's this club called? Asilo, etc. A lot of visible, branding. You seem to agree. Do you have any? No.
On the aspirational bit of it,
Yeah.
I think it's really to do with, as we think, the elite consumer is surely not looking for a status symbol there. But otherwise, there are price seekers who are actually the aspirational consumers who are actually looking at upgrading to luxury because it becomes social importance for them. Their branding and pricing becomes very, very key for them.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, so I think the Indian consumer, in my observation, and we keep saying this in the office, we're building a brand called Shazay, is that the Indian consumer is very self-expressive, and the kind of brands that they relate to are the brands that allow them to express themselves, through the accessories and the products they consume. So I think that's something that, and another thing that especially the millennials want to relate to today is what your brand is doing in terms of how is your brand working towards a good cause or making the world a better place, or what are the real ethos or the belief systems of the brand. That
Yeah,
I think
so
those are important. These are all very intangible aspects which typically does not feature in a conversation on luxury. But I think what we have to understand is that the entire luxury business is run by brands, and they became brands, and it's incidental that they're selling products of such a high value that it's luxury to some.
Yeah. No, I think you were touching on the topic of corporate social responsibility, and brands, and especially millennials, do care about, what kind of good the brand is doing and why they're paying so much. They are aware and do care about it. What do you think?
In fact, I would like to reframe your question that Indian consumers and luxury. I think there are two kinds of consumers in India.
Yep.
One is a luxury consumer. India is a large country with a vast population. So, when you talk about luxury consumers, I don't think they are any less than any international luxury consumer.
Absolutely, yeah.
They are well-traveled, well-educated. They know their brand, they know the history, they are well aware what is customization. They know what is a luxury experience. They know what the social value of luxury is. I don't think price for them is anywhere even close to consideration. Leave those aspirational ones.
Yep.
But a real luxury consumer, for him, price is not the matter. What Samrat said, that today they are also seeking the same experiences from a luxury brand. The kind of experiences they get somewhere when they were initially exposed to it.
Yep.
That's the similar experiences they're expecting here in India also now.
Absolutely.
And if we really have to ensure that the luxury sector as a whole succeeds, I think we'll have to really deliver and come up to the expectations of these consumers.
Absolutely. So do you find there's a challenge in terms of finding talent to deliver that experience in stores here? If you, for example, compare the store experience in Paris, London, Milan, is the retail sector able to deliver this kind of experience here, and what's missing?
I think the kind of experiences that Indians are able to give to the consumers is much, much better than even the international luxury consumers.
Yep.
India is born with hospitality as a inherent quality in them. So they're really able to give very, very good experience to a consumer. Let us look at, does anywhere in the world happen that a luxury brand caters to your home? nowhere in the world it happens, except for maybe in India,
Yep.
where a consumer is actually laid out the whole product array in front of him at his home, whether be it in a city A, city B, tier C, tier A, or tier 2, whatever city it is. If a consumer demands, the brand is willing to go that extra mile. I don't think any consumer can expect a better service than this.
Absolutely, that is super luxury actually.
Yeah, but I think we're doing a disservice to the luxury retail industry by doing home service, because you're dissuading the customer from coming to the mall. You need the customer to come to the mall rather than sitting in the comfort of his house and being shown this, because I think it's a disservice, A. The other point that I wanted to make with regard to the luxury consumer, forever and more, we only had the entry-level brands or the upper end of brands. So you had all your Marks and Spencers, you had your Zara's, you had Mango, BB, all these brands. Or you had at the other spectrum, a Vuitton, you had a Dior, you had a Versace, you had all these brands. And there was nothing in between to bridge the gap. So for a consumer who was used to shopping a Marks and Spencer or a Zara, the price point would be that they were comfortable with be around maybe 5,000 rupees, right? From there to jump to 1.5 lakh, 2 lakhs was a huge ask. It's only now that you're seeing brands coming in which are bridging this gap. So you find the bridge to luxury brands now entering the country. The brands like Kate Spade, Coach, these kind of brands sort of bridge the gap, make it easy for the consumer. Michael Kors, you are comfortable jumping from maybe a 5,000 to maybe a 25 or 30,000 rupees and buying your Michael Kors bag for yourself. From there to jump to 1 lakh is still easier than jumping straight from there. So this is now, you see that happening. Also, the second thing that's happening in luxury is, earlier luxury was associated with brand recall, and brand recall was the logo. So if you noticed, LV bags all had LV written on it. Gucci had the GGG everywhere. Brands are also now more discreet. You see the kind of collections that are coming out, it's moving away from those big, bad logos in your face to more discreet. And now there are brands like Berluti entering the country, which are very, very personalized, very, uber luxury. You find those brands also entering the country. So the consumer is well aware of the brands. The consumer is now not reliant only on family money, but on themselves and their self-worth and investing in themselves. You see that happening. The other thing about millennials is they don't have the urgency to buy a house or buy a car. They're comfortable using an Uber and an Ola. In our time, our biggest success factor was at the age of 25, do I have my own car? Don't I have it? If I don't have it, I'm a failure in life already, right? These guys don't have that pressure, and they don't see their self-worth basis what they have. They'd rather experience everything. You see them going for their holidays by themselves, etc., experiencing things, and then moving to products. And when they buy something, it's more because they appreciate the product and not because this product means luxury and it means I've arrived. It's more about, I know the value of a Berluti pair of shoes. I know I can customize it to my tastes and my likes, and I like the way they feel on my feet, and therefore I'm going to invest in them. So that change is happening, and that millennial is bringing about that change.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Another question in terms of brands, and would you say that the Indian consumer is brand loyal or brand switchers? And I'm going to relate that to another question, which is celebrities. I've been told that it's whatever the Bollywood celebrity of the moment is wearing, so that's the dress they will wear for their weddings. Is that true, and is that dangerous?
Okay,
Anyone
sorry,
else?
I seem to be hogging
What do you
the
think?
session, so I'll keep quiet for a while.
See, I would actually say it's more, again, very demographic centric. So it's depending upon whether it's very Bollywood influence, and therefore like it's looking at celebrities wearing it, and therefore aspiring to wear it. On the luxury side, I think, celebrities don't, from an online space, when I actually look at it, I say like, don't put in a lot of weightage on that particular bit. It's more on looking at what's happening in the runway, what's happening trending right now, and more coming in from there. Though that oversees more of a celeb endorsement here, the celeb wearing it and endorsing it. Just picking up one point from the previous question that you asked for is what the consumers look for in luxury is the pain point today also that they have is actually they feel that most probably what they buy is not something which is fresh, and this is something which is actually come in pretty late. No, so that's something that is a very, very key point to say like, okay, you're wearing the first or at the same time when it's actually coming globally. I think that's something that would be very important to look at. But in the context of asking for a celebrity endorsement on a luxury, I would actually have a feel saying, no, it is not.
Thank you.
And you know, today's consumer is actually exposed to so much of content. Gaining loyalty is perhaps in the sheer hands of the brand, that what experience it gives to the consumer to make him come back. Otherwise, he has hundreds of avenues to go back to any other place where he gains a better experience. Celebrity endorsement obviously is very popular in India. It will continue. I think that's not only in India, everywhere in the world, every brand does use celebrities. In India also, it's a very
bit
common
more
factor.
here. I've seen fashion shows, the audience actually clap for the showstopper instead of the actual designer.
It's
no?
there across.
Sorry?
I said it's there across.
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's amazing. So how do you feel about using global celebrities like Kim Kardashian being on the cover of Vogue wearing a Sabyasachi sari?
Or Pierce Brosnan for the pan masala.
I guess maybe if I can add on the
Yep.
loyalty
Yes,
that
please.
you said, and I think he touched upon how many brands that a consumer see every day. It's over 6,000 brands you interface every day as a consumer, and I think people or consumers are getting more and more comfortable in their own skin. They don't have to be branded top to bottom. The multiplicity of things is changing. Different brands, no brands. I think it's all acceptable with a bold underline, because that's what it means to me.
Yep.
And I think that's the recognition. And if a brand is building a business saying that, I have this set of loyal consumers and I'm happy, great, no problem, I think they have to re-question and rebuild, because the loyalty is not constant anymore.
Yeah. How about Shazay? I've seen you.
Yeah, I think it's important to build loyalty with your consumers, engage them all the time. That remains constant, and that's nothing new. But what's important is that there are in the space of luxury, especially, I think there are some brands which have been able to position themselves in a way that they have been able to create that very strong connect with their consumers, and there are very few brands like that, and those brands have been able to create a lot of loyalty for themselves.
Yeah.
So it's about creating that very special connect. It's not trying to be everything to everybody, but it's being everything to somebody.
Some people, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been told we have 10 minutes left, so I think we'll ask a few questions from the audience, if we have. Any questions? Yes, gentleman on the back. Whoop, two.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, my name is Manish. I represent Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail Limited. My question is to Dinaz and Rajendra. See, with the capacity to grow, especially for these international brands, you have very limited centers. Probably, you are the two top guys who are heading those, dominantly those premium centers where these luxury brands can, probably open their first phase.
Sorry, maybe if you could speak up. I don't think we can't hear you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Better?
I'll answer it. I understood what you were getting at. In terms of real estate space availability and brands having the potential to expand beyond Delhi
Correct,
and Mumbai.
correct. Yeah.
India is always going to be a special market. It's not going to be a market where for luxury particularly you're going to be able to open 20 stores, unlike a China. And that's the first point I made earlier, saying India is still a long way off from China, where you'll find one LV store here, another maybe half a kilometer down the road, one Cartier boutique here and another down the road. That's not going to happen in India. India is still going to be mainly a two-market zone for luxury, maybe a third one in Hyderabad or Bangalore. So one center in South and two centers in Delhi and Mumbai. It's not going to grow beyond that. I've also been asked questions on do factory outlets help? Factory outlets don't help because the market itself is so nascent. If you're going to bring in a factory outlet, you're further killing the market. From the perspective, do you have so much stock that you're going to bring into the country for 3 stores that you're going to open a factory outlet? That's not going to happen. It works for brands in the premium sector. It works for brands like maybe Nike, Adidas, etc., which have multiple thousands of stores across the country and therefore have enough produce that they can have both online presence as well as have factory outlets, but it's not going to happen otherwise. So luxury is still going to remain a 2 or at best 3 city zone for India for at least the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay. So what we are saying is that it is promising, but it will be limited.
Absolutely, but it's also a very steady market, and that's the point I made, which is why brands are now re-looking at India with interest. You find a lot, I've currently opened the Chanakya, and therefore I can tell you the interest in that mall is exceedingly high with international brands. In the last 1 week, I've personally met up with Dolce & Gabbana, and I've met up with another brand. I've met up with 2 brands, really big brands, in the last 1 week.
Okay.
So the interest in the country is exceedingly high because you find that there's stability, both politically as well as economically, which is very important for a brand that's going to invest in the country. And the investment is huge from their perspective. They do not invest at anything less than 10,000 rupees per square foot.
Okay. Just an extension of this.
Hello. My question goes to you, ma'am, particularly. As you said that luxury brands which are label-oriented, label-based, are really gearing up. But even I have noticed, out of my personal experiences, that customization too, again, not only the label, but customization. That I got the suit customized by my own self from Create. So I've seen that it has, really taken up the market, and the one with the big bucks who are really looking forward to spend money are following that particular trend. So do you think that custom will be the epitome of the whole luxury scenario again?
Customization always has been the forefront, and that's the reason why brands always do their made-to-measure events, whether it's a Xenia, whether it's a Corneliani, whether it's a Giorgio Armani, whether it's Canali. They all do their made-to-measure events because that's what works. The other thing you need to keep in mind is India is still more prone. For men's wear, of course, Western works, but for women, it's by and large accessories which work much better than apparel. Because for apparel, our body types are different, and our color palette is completely different. More discrete colors don't work for us. We need brighter colors. We need colors which talk to us. So therefore, apparel still in the Western international brands is still far lower than accessories is going to be. But for menswear, it's huge, and yes, definitely customization there works. Within accessories, they also do special events wherein they ask you your color preference for the leather, which is the, whether you want a gold tinge to it or a silver tinge to it, and create it for you then and there, and that gets you a premium. So they do those events, but far rarer.
Thank you.
Let me add to this that there are brands available in India which are not present in the physical or digital space, but only present on a made-to-measure event space. So if you have heard of brands like a Ketone or a John Law, which are present in cities like Bombay, they were participating at the Luxury Fashion Week. They only come here with their master tailor, take orders, go back and ship the orders from Milan. So customization, probably you need to get the facts right in terms of bespoke and made to measure and made to order, etc. So bespoke has always been very, very popular with Indians who could afford Italian luxury.
It's the same thing as coming home and shopping, right? The brand coming to your house.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
My question is for the entire panel. If you could just tell me, like there was a mention of old money and new money, like people who have been recently rich or people who have been traditionally rich. Who happens to be the major target segment for luxury brands in India? Old money or new money at present?
Any money works.
Yeah, so I'd like to say something on this. When you have old money, you've been around for a while and everybody knows you, you know everybody, so there's a certain social standing that you already have. Therefore, the importance of luxury brands and labels is not as much as it is for someone who's acquired money in the recent past, because for that person who's got new money and tons of it, they want to accelerate their social standing, and that's why they start consuming a lot more luxury products, because that changes the perception to everybody around.
So
And another thing that I've observed is that with new money, the two things, that it's in much larger numbers, and secondly, people like to spend it much faster. So that's a more exciting area to go after.
Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to thank our panelists very much for this very interesting discussion. And I know some of you need to catch planes and leaving for other places. So thank you very much for attending. And we have a stand on the other in the other room if you want to visit and ask any further questions about Istituto Marangoni. And a very good evening to everyone, and see you soon. Thank you.